So here is my Romeo Pro in black. And the first thing I did is remove those nasty reflectors on the wheels. So when I received my bike, it was had a lot of damage. The front fork was broken in this location. Derailleur was crushed. Throttle was broken. Seat was ripped. So I contacted the seller and they immediately started to ship me some parts. So a couple of things I want to go through here is this is not the stock bike. I got tired of waiting on my front fork, so I made some brackets and repaired the fork that came with it. And then I went on to extend that bracket, which you can see here, and put on these cheap Chinese lights here and this little cheap bag that I thought was perfect for this bike. I originally strapped this bag to these part of the fork, but that doesn't work because this moves. So it's bolted to my bracket here. So all of this can come off and be reattached to my new fork that I did receive the other day. Another thing is something curious about the headlight. In my case, the headlight bolted to here. A lot of them, the headlight bolts up here, and these brackets are swapped. But you can't actually just swap these brackets because the bottom one has got the head tube here, if you will, pressed into it. So you can change this piece out, but you can't change the bottom piece. I like the light down here because I think it fills in this area and it doesn't. I just like it better here. So I made some extensions. You can barely see them here. They're 1.5 inch sections of copper tubing that I painted black, and I just brought the light up here so I'd have clearance to get my little storage bag open. So I'll show you the switch for that. Came with it. There you go. Then I also extended the handlebars right here. You can barely see it, but it's an adjustable extension here to get the handlebars higher. I added these little cheap mirrors that kind of have the same touch as some of the other parts of the bike. And then I kind of revamped some of the wiring a little bit. I didn't add any reflectors in addition to taking off the ones that were on there. I put on some valve caps, and I did not put the reflectors that came with the bike. So the seat I haven't replaced yet, but they did send me a new one. The derailleur I've already replaced, even though they sent me a new one. I'd already replaced that. What else? This little bag that you see under here is a disc lock that's audible. Has a little cable that you bring up to your handlebars, a reminder. Fits perfect right in there. Looks like it was meant for that spot. I also changed these guys. And what else? Oh, I did notice that this is not an air shock here. Now, it seems to be okay, but it's not what was promised. You know, with the Pro, you get a 1200 watt motor, you get a 30 amp, controller, and something else. There's like 4 things. I'll think of it in a minute. This is totally unrehearsed, as you can tell. But one thing about it is that the controller is inside of here. So I did open that up and take a look and wired up my new lights. While I was in there, the controller is pretty small and it's not secured. So every time you hit a bump, that controller is jumping up and down and making some noise. So I put a little piece of foam in so that it can't rattle around. The other thing is, the controller's in there. It has no way for heat to escape. They did seal this panel on each side with some gaskets, but I guess that's to make it waterproof. But how does that work when there's a big hole right here and another one in the back to let cables in? So it would have been better if they had secured that to the metal box for some heat sink and maybe put some vents in. I never ride in the rain anyway. I've got other things to do if it's raining. So I will say that this bike rides like a motorcycle. I've got 8 other electric bikes in my garage behind me, including a Saran. But this thing actually handles more like a motorcycle than a bicycle. I've got these tires at 15 pounds instead of the 30 that it says. Haven't had any issues. 15 seems to, I don't get any issues with 15 pounds, and it's a lot better suspension. This front fork, I don't know if the new one, the replacement's going to be any better, but this fork, it's not as good as it could be. But all in all, I like the bike. It's perfect for cruising and gets a lot of looks. I don't know if anybody else likes these lights. I put them on here just because I thought they were kind of cool. And they do help out at night as far as the white part of the light, and then you've got the halo part, which is just kind of slick. I kind of got a color that matched the bike a little bit. Oh, and the brakes on this bike, they're perfect. I have no issue whatsoever. The Saran brakes are so bad that I was actually embarrassed to ride it until I changed the brakes out, because they were squeaky and vibrated, and there was no fixing it. So these brakes are great. So for $2,200 in tax, this is a neat bike. Gets a lot of attention. I really like the black, and I'm trying to think if there's anything I've missed here. I'm sure there is, but I just wanted to get this video out there. Oh, here's the other thing that you get with the Pro. You get a different touchpad over here. This touchpad's different than the other one. I think this screen has got a different program on it. So anyway, I hope this video has helped you out. I would buy this bike again in a heartbeat, and it has its own purpose and its own look, and I like it a lot.